Well, if you come and see a lawyer about 2 months before your 485 expires, the reality is there's very little the lawyer can do.
When you do make an offshore student visa application, after you've arrived in Australia, you have the ability of getting a bridging visa be associated with the student visa that you lodged offshore.
Yeah, so to clarify for our audience, let's say your 485 is expiring in the next 3 or 4 months, you can actually get an enrollment for the next visa.
Another set of clients that we usually get are people who have completed a skill assessment and are wondering about their next steps.
If you have enough time, we might actually advise you to take up another course, to enroll into a course while you're on your 485 to kind of acquire a skill that's in demand. The most important thing to know is lodge your expression of interest as early
Soon
as
as
possible.
possible.
Welcome to episode 5 of Visa Game Plan. I hope you've all enjoyed thus far. Today, what we hope to do is to give you a timeline on how to plan your permanent residency journey as a skill migrant, and then also what happens after you've lodged an expression of interest and what backup options you should put in place. I'm once again joined by our immigration lawyer, Tamasha Walgama. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Keith. So let's start with when a client should ideally start planning their pathway to permanent residency through skilled migration. Is it when they just arrive in Australia, or is it okay if they seek advice way into their student visa after they've completed the qualification?
Well, it really depends on what course you came to study. So, if you came to study like a medical degree, say an MBBS or a bachelor's of nursing or a bachelor's of education or even a trade course, then I think it's okay. You can come to us later in your journey because those are the courses that are really in demand. But if you came to study a more general qualification, a bachelor's of arts, a bachelor's of commerce, stuff like that, or even like, bachelor of IT, I would say these days, that's when you really probably need to start looking at getting advice right at the outset because those are courses that will be very hard to get PR. I'm not saying impossible, but for the vast majority of clients, it's hard. So those clients, I would say, see a lawyer right at the outset. So in general, unless you really know what's going on, maybe it's a good idea to spend some money, go and get a proper permanent residency strategy while you're on your student visa, if getting PR is like your ultimate goal.
Would our advice be different if they are on a 485? Let's say we do get a lot of clients who come to us for consultations and say, okay, my visa is expiring in the next 2 months, which makes it really hard for us to strategize a pathway for permanent residency. In instances like that, what do you think, or rather, what would be your advice to the client?
Well, if you come and see a lawyer about 2 months before your 485 expires, the reality is there's very little the lawyer can do. Often, what I have done for clients who've come and seen me in that instance is I've really tried to work with them to get an employer
A
sponsorship. So,
sponsorship.
usually, what I need to note is that we don't do recruitment or HR, so we can't help you find a sponsorship. But if you're already working at a company that may be willing to sponsor you or just need a bit of information in order to decide whether they want to sponsor you, we can really speak to your management and help you out. Or if you are working with a recruiter who can actually place you in a company that might sponsor you, then definitely we can help you out. So if you come, say, with less than 6 months left on your 485, the reality is there are only two options. Option A is to go for an employer sponsorship, or option B, which not many people know, is you can actually go offshore before your 485 expires, lodge a student visa, and come back onshore. Now, if you do that, Tamasha, and still your 485 is going to expire, how can you stay in Australia till a decision on your student visa is made? If you go offshore and lodge a student visa and come back.
When you do make an offshore student visa application, after you've arrived in Australia, you have the ability of getting a bridging visa be associated with the student visa that you lodged offshore. So
Right.
that gives our clients the ability to continue their stay in Australia until a decision is made.
Yeah, so to clarify for our audience, let's say your 485 is expiring in the next 3 or 4 months, you can actually get an enrollment for the next visa in your next course that you want to study. You can go offshore, lodge your student visa just for a couple of days, come back onshore because remember, your 485 is still in place, right? And then after that, we can lodge a bridging visa linking to that offshore application that you did. So, what else do you think our clients should know about pathways, Tamasha?
Right. So another set of clients that we usually get are people who have completed a skill assessment and are wondering about their next steps. Like we discussed in our last episode, we explained how EOIs and ROIs work. So, what happens after an EOI and ROI has been lodged?
Yeah, definitely. So usually what happens is after your skill assessment's done, the second step is to lodge an EOI and then an ROI. But obviously, the problem is there's a lot of things to think about. Just because you lodge an EOI and ROI, A, you're not guaranteed to get an invite, and B, you won't even get a bridging visa, right? So, what we do after that is we see how long is left on your 485. That's, I think, what the main thing MJ Legal focuses on. We are with you till you either get an invitation or you find an employer who can sponsor you, or we give you advice on doing that offshore student visa. So, once you've lodged your EOI and ROI, if you are in a state where your skill is not in demand, what we will do is we will look at other states and advise you on moving interstate. That's option A. Option B is we will try to focus on advising you to get an employer sponsorship, how to negotiate employer sponsorships with your employers and so on and so forth, which we'll discuss in the next episode. And option C is if you have enough time, we might actually advise you to take up another course, to enroll into a course while you're on your 485 to kind of acquire a skill that's in demand.
So, let's say in a perfect scenario, our client has lodged the EOI, ROI, and they're waiting for an invite. Until you wait for an invite, are there specific things that they should be concerned about? Because we get clients who would do things that would alter their points. And then we have to go back and explain to them, okay, you might not really have the number of points you had when you actually lodged your EOI.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is getting married. So if you get it married or enter into a de facto relationship, you lose 10 points. So you have 10 points of being single, but if your relationship changes, you can't get that. So that's a big thing that I think really alters clients' points. The second thing is aging out. So usually you have 30 points if you're between 25 and 33 or 32. When you turn 33 onwards, it drops to 25 points. So that's another issue. The third thing is your English language test might expire because it expires every 3 years. So they're like the three main things that alters clients' points.
In the same way, the clients can work on increasing their number of points after their EOI has been lodged. So this is a question that I get from clients all the time. They are unaware that they can do
How
things
to
to
increase your
update
points?
the EOI.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing to know is lodge your expression of interest as early
Soon
as
as
possible
possible.
because then you're in the system.
System.
After that, work on increasing your points. So a few ways to increase your points is IELTS or PTE. You can get 7 each band for 10 points or 8 each band for 20
20
points.
points.
Second is you can do NATI, which can give you 5 points. If you've done an engineering, IT or accounting degree, you can do a professional year program for 5 points. And the last thing that you could do is find work in your skilled occupation, which can also give you another 5 points.
Another 5 points, yes. I think that covers up the entirety of the skill migration program in our 2 episodes. Thank you very much for being here and guiding our clients through it. With that, we conclude the episode 5 of Visa Game Plan. Thank you very much.